So a New York Times reviewer is bemoaning the fact that there is a lack of kink in The Little Mermaid. Now, if you follow Disney and you know the type of things they're putting out, it is surprising indeed that The Little Mermaid isn't kinky. However, I do think that people like us are happy that it is not kinky, but the New York Times reporter, the reviewer in question, the authoritative source, is most likely displeased. They would have gotten a much better experience, I assume, if The Little Mermaid was a little bit more kinky. I don't know, like have some furries there. Like what would make it more kinky? Writer Wesley Morris, according to the DailyMail.com, has come under fire after their movie critics said both that The Little Mermaid did not have enough kink in it. Writer Wesley Morris caused controversy with his review, saying that the PG-rated film aimed at young girls and boys did not have enough mystery, risk, or kink for his liking. The New York Times says that the new live-action The Little Mermaid is everything nobody should want in a movie. Dutiful and defensive, yet desperate for approval. It reeks of obligation and noble intentions. I love the fact that they can't actually say that this is business marketing for Disney, and this is what they do normally now. Matt Walsh articulated this perfectly. He said that Disney is now the fast food of entertainment. They're incapable of making original dishes. They just make remakes, sequels of remakes, and remakes of sequels. And just like if you go to a McDonald's and you try to create an original dish with the ingredients they have there, you're not going to be able to do it. The only thing you should do is the formula. And that's pretty much what Disney does. It's like they have the formula of things that people before, the ones that worked there at Disney, created masterpieces, and they were excited and enthusiastic on working on those masterpieces. And unfortunately, Disney doesn't have that type of staff anymore. So they're trying to recreate the formula over and over again with people without talent. And of course, they end up failing. And the interesting thing is, I don't know people from Disney, but I do know people from Ubisoft and certain other AAA studios. And they all tell me the same thing. Like, usually before a project even gets greenlighted, they know that it's not going to be good. They are so demoralized that they know it's going to be bad. So what they do is like they're using diversity. They're using race swapping, gender swapping, controversial issues in order to get the review critics to give them good grades, right? Because like here you have the New York Times, which is basically trying to say that, yeah, like I didn't like this movie. I mean, the special effects were bad. There wasn't mystery. There wasn't risk. There was nothing interesting. But they can't really say that in order to cover this up, Disney is hiding behind the skirt of wokeness. No, they have to say that it's dutiful and defensive, yet desperate for approval. It reeks of obligations and noble intentions. In other words, if you're not a racist, you're obliged to go see it. That's what they're trying to say. And this is literally their marketing, right? If you're not a racist, then you want to stick it to the racist, then you want to buy a ticket to the movie. This is what is being implied. But they can't outright say it. While the word kink does also refer to a sharp twist or curve, it is more commonly known as a shorthand for a person's unusual sexual preferences, says the Daily Mail. Among those who found issue with the New York Times review was political commentator Ian Miles Chung, who said that the New York Times wants kink in a movie made for children, and they're sad that The Little Mermaid doesn't have any of it. Another person said that the New York Times wrote a movie review of the children's film The Little Mermaid and lamented its lack of kink. You know, I do want to say something. They keep saying children's movie. Isn't this like targeted mostly to 30-year-olds at this point? Like if you're going to make a remake of a movie that people saw when they were kids, and you're expecting them to go see it again, aren't there going to be like a lot of 30-year-olds in the audience? You know, like I went to these remakes. I went to Aladdin remake. I had the displeasure of going to the Mulan remake. And when I looked around the theater, there were mostly adults. There were some kids, but like overwhelmingly adults. Was that just my experience? Because the reason I'm bringing this up is not because of Kink, by the way, but it's due to the fact that whenever you criticize these movies, like people say, well, it's made for children. And I'm thinking, like, is it though? Is it made for children or is it made for nostalgia? Like, they're hoping that nostalgia will sell, right? Like, if you want to make something for children, you would make something new. You wouldn't make something that's a remake of something that's already perfect. Like, if you watch the old cartoon, sorry, the old movie with Ariel, it's perfect. Like, it holds up much better than this shit. So why would they make it a remake? Oh, because they're trying to bank on nostalgia. So no, I do not think that this is for kids, by the way. I do think that it's mostly for 30-year-olds or people who grew up with Ariel and they want to see it again. I guess it's to punish them for some reason. It's, you should have stood up back when it was time. Like when you notice that this toxic culture that's coming into entertainment, if you stood up then, you wouldn't have been subjected to this horror. But you didn't, so go watch The Little Mermaid, I guess. One outraged reader said that the Kink was missing. Unbelievable. Another wrote, Kink is missing from The Little Mermaid, what the fuck. So apparently the musical released on Friday currently boasts 95% approval out of 5,000 rating cinema goers. I do not trust Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. Like at this point, Rotten Tomatoes is just like the expanded marketing arm of Disney. They have been caught several times manipulating the ratings. Every single time they complain about review bombing, they never complain about review blossoming. They never complain when people, before seeing the movie, give it a perfect score. They never point out when there's bots and other things that are trying to give the movies good ratings. And by the way, why does the website even give a fuck? Like, honestly, if I have a website where people can go and vote, why would I care? I mean, let the customers say whatever the fuck they want. Like, you're not paid by the studios. You shouldn't have a moral agenda. But, of course, Rotten Tomatoes does have all of this. Like, the only thing Rotten Tomatoes should care about are bots. Okay, like, that's fair. If you have, like, a lot of bots that are posting the same thing over and over, and they're, like, trying to tinker with the score, both positive and negative, I would understand. But Rotten Tomatoes has done so much PR for corporations and trying to defend them that it's not a reliable source. I don't give a shit how much it has on Rotten Tomatoes, honestly. So apparently it eclipses the previous records of Rich's Aladdin, which has a 94% audience rating. Like, who gives a shit? This doesn't mean that it sold well. It doesn't, like, it may have sold well, it may have not. Just saying that it's got like 94% audience rating doesn't tell me anything. Despite a backlash over the Holly's casting, the movie topped the box office at the #1 spot over Memorial Day weekend in the United States, with a whooping debut of $170 million. Well, I guess like people want more fast food then. Last year, Top Gun Maverick only got 160. Despite winning over the audience, the film has scored mixed reviews from critics. And apparently 67% audience rating. See, I genuinely do not believe that these ratings are legit. I honest to God do not. There is no fucking way that the critics are giving less of a review score than the audience. I refuse to believe it. While some experts claim it was close to being the best live-action Disney movie, oh, get the fuck out. I mean, if that's the case, the other ones must be absolutely atrocious. They praised Halle's performance as Ariel. Others insisted it can't escape its animated legacy, which has an overall of 92%. Again, like, you're talking about these Rotten Tomatoes ratings as if they mean anything. One of the most iconic scenes in the original film, Under the Sea, also perplexed the critic. The original is adorable and joyous, and features sea creatures with cherubic smile faces. But in the 2023 version, they are faceless, and thus, sorry fish, they're simply not as fun to watch. Yeah, like, when I looked at the fish that they made, the way they animated them and they make them look realistic, like, their eyes are dead. There's no intelligence there. Like, when Ariel plays with her little fish, it looks like animal abuse. So, it is what it is. I generally do not believe that the score is legit for Rotten Tomatoes. But anyway, right, let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.